Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron, I hope you're having a great day in Jesus. We're looking at Christian evidence today, and why would anybody believe in Jesus? Why would anybody believe the Gospels? So let's take a look at that. Again, I want to say thanks for being here. Check out our other videos, subscribe, hit the bell notification, share with your friends, family, church family, and let's get excited about Jesus. So why would anybody believe the Gospels? And so, I guess we could go into how do we know the four Gospels we have are accurate, and everything else that claims to be a Gospel, like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Peter, and all these Gnostic Gospels found primarily at Nag Hammadi, but some other places as well. How would we know those are not what's considered canonical or inspired? And really, it's the historicity of the things contained in the Gospels. And so, place names are correct in the Gospels, customs are correct in the Gospels, titles are correct in the Gospels, functionality is correct in the Gospels, geography is correct in the Gospels, manners and customs are correct in the Gospels. And so you have all these things that have all the hallmarks of everything we would know if you were to study first century Palestine or Israel, the Holy Land, and superimpose the Gospels on top of it. You'd say, that's right. Remember, my brother-in-law converted a Jewish person to Christianity just by, the Jewish person, his coworker, had a lot of preconceived ideas about Christianity. He said, well, first of all, have you ever read the New Testament? He was like, well, no. He's like, well, just start in Matthew. And he said by the time his coworker got to like Matthew 26, he's like, Steve, my brother-in-law's name was Steve. He's passed away. And my wife's name's Sandy, and my sister's name is Sandy. So we had Steve and Sandy and Steve and Sandy, which was kind of neat. But anyhow, said, Steve, said, the New Testament's a Jewish book. It's got all these Jewish customs. Even when you go into like the Talmud, the Mishnah, and things, it's the Jewish customs are right. Just everything is right. Where that would not be the case in the Gnostic Gospels, even though I had the opportunity, they would have a lot of factual errors in them. And they are interesting reading, and I haven't read them all, read some, but gives you a sense of how people were corrupting the Gospels. And for there to be a corruption, there had to be an archetype, there had to be a true. And so that's kind of self-evident. So why would anybody believe the Gospels? So you have Matthew, he's an eyewitness, writes about himself. His name was Levi, tells what he did, and this type thing. Mark, a possible eyewitness, especially, Mark 15, where, Judas comes with the crowd and the young man ran away naked. A lot of people think that was Mark. A lot of people also think Mark was Peter's scribe. And so he would have been somebody who was, an eyewitness's mouthpiece, so to speak. And then Luke says he gathered sources in Luke 1 through 4, basically. Many taken in hand to write things, and I'm going to do that as well. And then with John, you have an inner circle eyewitness. He was able to do things others weren't able to do, like at the Last Supper, like Transfiguration. There were times when James, John, and Peter would be taking places other people would not, even John going to the high priest house. So you have an eyewitness, a possible eyewitness, and a possible, and some would say probable, scribe of an inner circle eyewitness. Luke gathered sources of eyewitnesses, and then John, an inner circle eyewitness. And then you have copies, and like Cave 7 from the Dead Sea Scrolls, ton of people think that these are pre-68 AD eyewitnesses. Karsten Thiede with P66 would say this is a pre-65 AD eyewitness. But even if you just took the traditional, John Ryland's fragment, is it 52, P52 or P75, I forget, that's supposed to be, 125 AD, you've still got all of these things that are showing that the Gospels are true. Then you have like first century witnesses, and I've done multiple videos and podcasts on this, from Tacitus to Suetonius to Pliny to the Alexmenos Graffito to the Yigal-Yaden find 45 AD, prior to 45 AD, 14 ossuaries that were Christian, Barsabbas ossuary there, prayers to Jesus on the ossuaries, Jesus is the name of the Father, ossuary, on and so forth. Some of these are early 2nd century. The one I'm talking about now, the ossuary, is 45 AD, and before the Nazareth decree and Mara Bar Serapion, on and so forth. Even the Jewish interaction with Christianity from 90 AD, thereabouts, and could miracles be done in the name of Jesus? Nicodemus being in ancient Jewish writings, Zacchaeus being in ancient Jewish writings talking not only about Mary and the virgin birth, even though they would attack that, Jesus boiling in hot excrement and all this, but calling the church the Minith in naming certain of the disciples. So, I mean, just there's so much evidences. Early papyri, and Phil Comfort has done a yeoman's work in getting all that together, as is Dan Wallace putting it online. And then early codices, which are like books. I remember when I first started studying this back in the 1980s, they would say, books were, it's kind of like synagogues. Books weren't written till like the 2nd or 3rd century. Now they say it's 1st century. Now they say it may be pre-1st century. It's like synagogues. They said, well, the synagogue system was developed by Ezra. Now they think there must have been synagogues all the way back to Solomon's temple time and these type things. And then early writings, you have like Clement of Rome, who was a bishop of Rome in the 1st century AD. And you have Ignatius. You have people claiming to be taught by the disciples, like Polycarp, like Papias, in their writings. You have ancient Roman writings. And then, of course, gobs of Gnostic writings. And this doesn't even include the Didache, which a lot of people say the Didache is a 1st century writing. I would not say it's 1st century writing at all. It may have a 1st century core in it or something. But all of these and more would show that the Gospels are 100% reliable. I remember it was Simon Greenleaf, who was he had the UCLA law school named after him for many years. And he wrote in the 1860s, Testimony of the Four Evangelists, where he goes through this and says, okay, he was a lawyer, obviously. And he's like, maybe Harvard trained, he was like, if we were putting the Gospels on trial, you would say these are accurate. And like the forensic faith guy, I can't think of his name right now. I do like his stuff. Warner Wallace or something. Anyhow, I can't remember his name totally. But J. Warner Wallace or something. But he does the same thing. And so you put the Gospels on trial, and they are not found to be wanting. They are found to be accurate. So, in all these harmonies of the Gospels, even starting with Tatian's Diatessaron, that type thing. So God bless. Thanks for being here. Join us daily. Share with your friends, family, church family. We'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.